Greetings, true believers, and welcome to another adventurous episode of History of the Marvel Universe. This week's tale begins at a small family-owned butcher shop in a humble Iowa town. The shop was owned by Harold Barton, who worked there alongside his wife Edith and two sons, Clint and Bernie. However, while things there appeared peaceful, behind the scenes was another story. Harold Barton was a drunk with a short temper, which made him verbally and physically abusive to his wife and children. While Bernie grew bitter and resentful, Clint pushed himself to work ever harder, always trying to win his father's favor. However, nothing he did was ever enough, and it was all for nothing after Harold's drinking finally caused both he and Edith to perish in a drunk driving accident. With no close relatives to take them in, Clint and Bernie spent several years at a nearby orphanage. They were continually passed over for adoption, likely because of their age. One night, when the two boys were in their early teens, Bernie decided he'd finally had enough, and ran away with his brother reluctantly following along. Before too long, the two boys came upon a traveling circus. Bernie convinced the owner of the carnival to let them work there, and work they did. And although it wasn't particularly glamorous, the two boys were happier than they ever had been. Clint in particular caught the attention of the carnival's star attraction, the sensational swordsman, Jacques Duquesne. When the swordsman's beautiful assistant quit his dangerous act, Clint showed his courage by agreeing to take her place. Thoroughly impressed by the boy's resolve, Duquesne began tutoring Clint, passing down his skills in knife throwing. It soon became clear that Clint had a natural aptitude for marksmanship. And he wasn't the only one, as an expert archer named Trick Shot soon eclipsed Duquesne's position as the carnival's top attraction. However, the swordsman was crafty, and after beating Trick Shot in a game of cards, Duquesne had the master archer pay his debt by tutoring Barton. The swordsman intended to use Barton to prop himself up, but he began to grow insecure at the notion of his apprentice surpassing him. Furthermore, Duquesne was a problem gambler, and behind the scenes his debts were piling up. Bitter and out of options, the swordsman robbed the carnival's paymaster, but Clint walked in on him while he was attempting to hide the money in his lodgings. Duquesne gave Clint an opportunity to join him and flee, but Barton refused, and so the swordsman attempted to silence him permanently. Clint quickly took to the high wire to put some distance between himself and his mentor, but before he could take aim to defend himself, the swordsman sliced the rope Barton was standing on, causing him to fall. Clint was badly injured with two broken legs, but before the swordsman could finish his quarry, he was chased off by Trick Shot and Bernie. Clint was taken to the hospital to recover, but when Bernie learned that his brother had passed up an opportunity for big money, he was annoyed. Disheartened by the circus life and everything he had been through, Bernie left to join the army. Meanwhile, even while injured, Clint continued to train under Trick Shot, honing his skills even further. He even introduced Clint to the idea of gimmicked trick arrows with specific purposes. However, when Barton was fully healed, Trick Shot convinced him to repay him for the lessons by accompanying him on a job. He claimed they would be robbing a mobster named Marco, the same man who Duquesne owed his gambling debts. Barton's job was simply to keep watch, unaware that Trick Shot's true purpose was to assassinate Marco. When several armed thugs showed up, they and Barton fired at each other, they with bullets and Clint with arrows. While Barton expertly avoided fatally injuring his targets, one of the hired guns winged Clint's side with a bullet, causing one of his arrows to go slightly off the mark, striking one of his attackers in the chest. Investigating closer, Clint saw the man he'd accidentally shot was his own brother, Bernie, who, unbeknownst to Clint, had become an FBI informant spying on Marco's mob. After taking care of Marco, Trick Shot demanded they leave the scene, but Clint insisted they bring his brother to a hospital. Unwilling to go along, Trick Shot pinned Clint to a tree with several well-placed arrows and escaped. Despite his injuries, however, Clint was able to free himself and get him and his brother treatment. After the disappearance of Trickshot, Clint returned to the carnival and became the star attraction, expertly flinging arrows under the stage name Hawkeye. However, his fame was soon eclipsed by the appearance of colorful costumed crime fighters, such as the invincible Iron Man. Seeking to emulate their success, Hawkeye crafted his own colorful look and set out to fight crime. He thwarted a jewelry robbery, but in doing so, the police mistook him for a costumed criminal and gave chase. He was intercepted by the Russian spy known as the Black Widow, who seduced and recruited him into her employ. The Black Widow manipulated Hawkeye into battling her foe Iron Man, providing him with upgraded tech with which to do so. When the Widow was captured by her employers and forced to return to her homeland, Hawkeye attempted to repair his reputation by again pursuing a life of crime fighting. Early in this quest, he rescued a man and his elderly mother from a group of muggers. This man was Edwin Jarvis, the personal butler of Tony Stark, who at that time was tasked with aiding the Avengers in their day-to-day lives. With Jarvis's help, Hawkeye staged a break-in of Avengers Mansion to prove his worth to the other heroes. With several founding members of the team seeking to take leaves of absence to handle their personal matters, Iron Man agreed to let his former enemy join their ranks. And so, Hawkeye stood alongside Captain America, as well as two other reformed villains, Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch, to form the second incarnation of the Avengers. Since then, Clint Barton has sharpened his fighting skills and marksmanship even further by fighting alongside and training with Captain America and the Avengers, proving himself worthy of standing beside Earth's mightiest heroes. And that's the origin of Hawkeye. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, leave a comment, and share it on your favorite social media. As always, the issues referenced in this video are listed in the description below if you would like to read them for yourself, as well as links to other places you can find me, including my Patreon page, where for just $1 a month you can get your name on these fancy credits here. So until next time, true believers, Excelsior!